Hello everyone, welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, and this video will be previewing day 3 of Royal Ascot Ladies Day tomorrow, and features the Ascot Gold Cup, which is one of the feature races of the Royal Meeting. We'll get into all the analysis and tips for tomorrow in a little bit, but I just want to reflect on how today's selections ran. I have to admit we're still looking for that elusive winner. Royal Ascot is always a very hard punting festival. Sometimes it can be a bit hit and miss. Sometimes you can have a good one, sometimes you can have a bad one. We're still trying to find that winner. We've had some decent placed efforts. We had 3 each ways come in today. We had Final Song in the first in the Queen Mary, ran a good race. We'll definitely still want to be following her this season. Things didn't go her way because she wasn't able to dictate, and she came out the pack to run a good solid race, finishing in 3rd. Then Jalmood let us down in the Queen's Vase. James Doyle had his work against him really, because Jalmood pulled like a train coming out of the stalls, went to the front and probably didn't suit him at all. I think he probably wanted to be held up more, but it paid to be very prominent, and Dashing Willoughby won that race. Not sure what to make of it, and I think actually that race actually probably won't hold up in time. We then came across to the Prince of Wales. Wildgeist was the only horse that came out of the pack. He finished in 3rd place. We advertised him each way at 11-2, so we got a little bit of money back there and a bit more, but nothing to write home about there. Crystal Ocean finally got his head in front and he was able to take advantage, and he's definitely the one that probably suited the conditions today, and you always know he's going to run a good solid race, so it was good to see him get his head in front there. Then it was in the Duke of Cambridge, Red Tea, probably just wasn't up to the grade. You know, it looked a wide open race on paper. I'm not complaining. Travelled okay into the race, but just wasn't good enough, and it was a bit of a warm Group 2. But I just thought at a price, she'd shown some good form for Joseph O'Brien so far since she had been recruited over there, but she just unfortunately let the form down a little bit today and got outclassed. So I'm not complaining there. Raisin Sand got a bit of money back. I actually backed it at a bigger price than I advertised, so that wasn't too bad for me there. Nicola Curry did everything right, but in a 30 runner race, you're always going to be up against it, and he did the business late on, just grabbing 3rd in the final stride. So you can't really say that he didn't run his race. He did, but there was just 2 better horses on the day. And then Summer Sands and the Windsor Castle, same story, finished in 6th place. I was advertising 5 places with Skybet because that was the best place amount anyway on offer, and he finished 6th like they always do in those kind of races. He ran with credit, he was running on strongly at the end. It still could be a good horse going forward, but again, in these 2-year-old races where we've only got 1 or 2 runs to go on, it can be very difficult, and you can get some surprises. Obviously it was Ryan Moore winning in the last there on Seven Hills, I think it was, for Aidan O'Brien. They've been a bit quiet earlier in the day, but they finally got their winner, and they're continuing their good, strong form so far at Royal Ascot. So yeah, that's just how our selections went today, and hopefully we can turn some of those near misses into some winners tomorrow, and maybe some better runners. So it all starts tomorrow at 2:30, as it always does at Royal Ascot, and it's the Norfolk tomorrow, Group 2, over 5 furlongs. Now, Sunday Sovereign heads the market here for Billy Lee and Peter Toomey, who's an up-and-coming trainer over in Ireland. A lot of the shrewd people think he's going to be one of the next top trainers of the future generations. He's 5-2 favourite. This horse was brought by King Para, and he actually beat Arizona at the Curragh over 6 furlongs a couple of starts ago, and that's probably the strongest piece of form in the book, because obviously Arizona, if you've been following Royal Ascot this week, won the Coventry on the first day of the Royal Meeting. He then went on to win on soft ground at Tipperary, so the conditions shouldn't bother him. But I just think tomorrow maybe Sunday Sovereign could be a little bit too short for me, and I want to be looking at something maybe that could improve a bit more. Mavin for Wesley Ward, you've got to respect him, but not too many of his 2-year-olds have really come to the fore yet. He had one today in the Queen Mary that finished 2nd. That's his best so far, so we can't really be underestimating him because he's got a good record, but his team are really yet to get far, and probably they're suffering maybe because they're not used to this deep ground. So that's that's one there for Wesley Ward Mavin. Ventura Rebel beat Wesley Ward's runner on trials day, Lady Pauline. I'm not sure he's actually that good. I think he just took advantage that day. But the one that I'm going to be going with here is a horse that I think is definitely a very good and upcoming improver, and that's Expressionist for James Doyle and Charlie Appleby. 10-1 with bookmakers at the moment, has already won over the course and distance, and I think this has been the target ever since he won the race. Now, the race that he won back in May has been franked because the third place horse was Preistley for Mark Johnston. That horse has subsequently gone on to win twice, so the form has been enhanced somewhat. Also, as well, the Roger Varian horse, Clan Royal, ran a fair race at Goodwood, so there's a good look to that form, and Expressionist did it pretty much on the bridle that day, and I'm expecting him to come forward by Night of Thunder as well, who does like a bit of cut in the ground from his protege, and he liked a bit of cut in the ground himself. In stall 6 tomorrow. I think there's a lot to like about Expressionist, and I'm expecting a good run. You can get 11-1 with bookmakers at the moment. BetVictor probably the best one to go with that 11-1, paying 4 places, and I recommend him to be our each way bet to get things up and running tomorrow. We then go to the Hampton Court, the next race on the card, over a mile and 2 furlongs, a Group 3, and Cape of Good Hope is the current favourite at the moment, 5-1 with bookmakers at the moment, at the time of recording. Trained by Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore booked for the ride, won the Blue Ribbon Stakes at Epsom. I was there that day and he just got up to win on the line. He then went to Chantilly and ran in the Prix de Jockey Club, running a good race actually in 4th place, getting up in company. I actually did fancy him to go well for the Derby, and I actually did back him anti-post. I think I was on him at 40-1, but he didn't take his chance in the end. I don't know how he would have done, but I think he would have run at least a good race. But for me, I think there's others in here that could be a bit more appealing. Thangarius for Frankie Dettori and Sir Michael Stout, obviously both on the board. Frankie had a good day today, finished 3rd in the Heron Stakes on his reappearance, behind King of Comedy, who ran a good race to finish 2nd. Behind Circus Maximus in the St James's Palace Stakes yesterday. Probably is going to be a better 3-year-old. He was a very big 2-year-old, and I think he'll come on for that run, but I'm just concerned maybe the ground could have gone against him. Roseman is going to be drawn out wide tomorrow for Andrea Azzani and Roger Varian. If he was drawn in a bit more towards the inside, I would really like his chances. He ran a good race behind King of Comedy, and that form has been well advertised. Hedman as well won the London Gold Cup, that handicap. That's always a very good form point for the season. I'm not sure he's going to live up to this class, but he's one to keep an eye on, and maybe the ground might go against him too. King Ottiker, well like the ground for Charlie Fellows, but he's got to bounce back after a disappointing effort last time out. But my one is going to be, my selection is going to be Fox Chairman. Now this one at the current time of recording is 5-1 with bookmakers at the moment. I've seen some support this afternoon. You can actually currently get that with BetVictor, who are paying 4 places on the race at 9-2. I think he could be a bit of the each way, and he could be the each way angle. You can get the 5-1, 9-2 out there at the moment, but I think for the best value for the each way anyway at the moment is 9-2, 4 places. There is 5-1 out there, but the bookmaker who escapes me now are only offering 3 places. I like to have as many places as an insurance as possible, but that's just me. You might be different, but for me, Fox Chairman I think has got a very good chance here. Andrew Bolden obviously had a winner today with Dash and Willoughby. Also as well, his horse in the Windsor Castle ran a good race as well. This horse finished 3rd at Chester when he was really unlucky that day in behind runners, and he just didn't get the break, and he was running on strongly at the end behind Circus Maximus, who obviously went on to win the St James's Palace Stakes yesterday, and I think if he got a better run that day he would have been involved in the action. His win at Newbury has been well franked. There's some good form in behind there, and Sylvester de Souza and Andrew Bolden have both been quoted as saying that Fox Chairman is their sweetest fancy of the week. So for me, with them saying it's their best chance of a winner, Fox Chairman has to be the bet for me in the race. We then go to the Ribblesdale, and Queen Power is one of the favourites here, 5-2 bookmakers at the moment. Again, part of the King Power group, but this time for Sir Michael Stout, and Sylvester de Souza, the retained rider for them, is booked for the ride. Won a listed race at Newbury, just getting up in the final stride. Finished 2nd on Royal Ascot Trials Day back in May. Again, just nearly come in to win her race in the end, but probably needs a little bit more time, being a typical Sir Michael Stoute horse. Now this horse I think probably does want to go up and trip, but could be a bit vulnerable tomorrow, and I'll give you my selection in a minute. Some of the others that were in that race were Starcatcher for John Gosden. John Gosden actually hasn't really got going yet at Royal Ascot, and I'm not sure if this horse wants further. I think it actually probably wants more of a mile or a mile and two, and that's probably going to be its limit, but that's just my opinion. I would be staying away from Starcatcher. Francolina is a horse a lot of people like for William Haggas. You can't complain about William Haggas's form at the moment. Obviously he's having a few winners there at the Royal Meeting, finished 6th in the Oaks, running a solid race, finished 2nd in the Musadora as well. So we know this horse has got talent, but I'll be concerned about the ground. The one that I'm backing here, and is 7-4 with bookmakers at the moment, is going to be fleeting for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. Now this horse finished 3rd in the Oaks and probably run the most eye-catching race. She was a bit unlucky as well, and if she might have got a gap early on, she could have maybe been winning at the line. Now she did run an absolute stinker in the Guineas, but she probably needed the run that day, and I think she'll be improving. She's well clear on rating. She's rated 110. She's the £5 best horse in the race, and I think tomorrow in this race, which was won by Connections last year of Magic Wand, this horse was probably the one they've all got to beat tomorrow. Best form in the book, and for me that's going to be my selection there. The Gold Cup, the feature race, the Group 1 over 2.5 miles is the next port of call here, and Stradivarius is 11-10 with bookmakers at the moment. He's the current favourite, trained by John Gosden. Frankie Dettori but for the ride. Obviously Frankie's in good form as we spoke, but John Gosden isn't. I don't think he's had a winner yet. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's had a winner so far at Royal Ascot. Some of his horses have been running okay, but they just haven't been getting across the line. Maybe this could give him his first winner tomorrow. Now, this horse won the Stayers Million last year, winning this race as well to get that Stayers Million. But I just think the ground might have gone against him tomorrow. They're not expecting any rain now at Ascot, but there's been a lot of rain getting into the ground, and I think it'll still be on the soft side. He just crawled home here to deny Thomas Hobson on soft ground on Champions Day last year, but I think he could be a bit vulnerable, and he's facing a bit of a different kettle of fish this year. Don't get me wrong, he's a very good horse, and he probably needed further than he actually won in the race he won at York. So for me, Stradivarius, I think he's a bit too short, and I'm going to be taking him on. DXB is one of the other principals in the betting for Mark Johnson, who's won this race before, the likes of Double Trigger. Sylvester de Souza is but for the ride. This horse has won the Sagario Stakes and the King Henry II, and he does like a bit of cut in the ground, so conditions are definitely in his favour tomorrow. We know he can do it at the track, but I'm just a bit sure. I'm just a bit uncertain if he is really the top quality. I think he's a good horse, but I'm just a bit concerned. Another horse who I will throw into the mix that could run a big race at a price is Thomas Hobson for Willie Mullins, who's actually won at the Royal Meeting before. He won a couple of years ago. I think it was the Queen Alexandra Stakes or the Ascot Stakes, one of those two races. Can't remember which one he won, but he did win that race. And he's 25-1 with bookmakers tomorrow, and with a bit of cut in the ground. It's not maybe his ideal conditions, but we know he can handle it. He finished 2nd in Germany last time out, and you probably forgive him that run. That was probably a prep run for this. This has probably been the target for him this summer, and I just think at 25-1 he might be one to maybe slip through the net and maybe get in the places, maybe if some of the others don't turn up. But my selection for the race is Cross Counter, who's 9-2 but makes at the moment, trained by Charlie Appleby, and James Doyle's but for the ride. Obviously won the Melbourne Cup in good style in the end, getting up late. Then he went to Dubai as well, and the form has worked out there because the horse that finished in behind, the name escapes me now, I think his name is Gold Mount. He went actually on to win at York at the weekend in the Ebor listed trial there. And that's looking like a good effort there. Cross Counter had the beating of DXB at Goodwood last year, where I think he broke the course record. Maybe the concern could be the ground, but I think he should be okay. And it is going to dry out, but I think he can just about handle the conditions, because if you look in his pedigree, he is related to some soft ground horses, and I think he will actually stay the trip tomorrow. I think he's a very class, he's an improving horse, and for me at 9-2, he's the value bet tomorrow, and I'm just going to recommend a win bet on him. So that's going to be where I am going there. We then go to the penultimate race for the Britannia Handicap in the 5 o'clock, and this is a very tricky race. Now, the one thing I will say is it doesn't tend to pay to go to horses that are making their handicap debuts in this, and they've come from maiden and novice races. That's where Valorian has come from tomorrow. Does look interesting off a mark of 96 for Charlie Appleby and James Doyle, but for me, I'll be swerving that. And my two selections in the race is going to be the first one, Migration, who's made it as a reserve for David Minutier and Jason Watson. David Minutier is 7 winners from his last 12 runners in the last fortnight, operating at a 58% strike rate. Now, this horse has a very progressive profile. He finished second at Newbury, where the form has worked out quite well. Also, as well, he went on to win at Newmarket last time out, doing all his best work at the end. And I think even though he hasn't raced on soft ground before, his pedigree suggests that he should handle it. And for me tomorrow, he's drawn on the right place of the track, stall 24. I think he's definitely got to be involved tomorrow. And I think Migration at 12 to 1, if you can still get that, is a good each way bet. I think there's 6 or 7 places around. All the list of prices and where you can get them will be in the comments box below. So that's where you want to be looking there for the best prices in the most places. The other one I like is Dunkirk Harbour, who's a bit underestimated, I think. Trained by Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moores, but for the ride. Connections actually won this race back in 2015 with War Envoy. Now, this horse is going to be drawn in stall 30 tomorrow, which we know might not be a bad place tomorrow. Finished third in the finished fourth in the Amethyst Stakes at Leopardstown in a Group 3 behind Hazapur. Hazapur didn't do the form any justice last time out, but this race is a bit calmer than the Queen Anne, going up to a mark of 101 after being raised £12 for that effort. Does maybe suggest question marks, but I think Dunkirk Harbour tomorrow, he could be an improving horse that we've underestimated here. And going forward, I think at 16 to 1 you can get in a place. He could be a good each way bet in a good part of the track where he's going to be drawn tomorrow. So for me, Dunkirk Harbour is just one to throw into the ring there. We then go to the 5:35, and this is probably my strongest fancy of the day, the King George Handicap. Constantinople is the favourite at the moment. I couldn't argue with his chances tomorrow. He's 5 to 1 favourite. He's a Group 3. He won a Group 3 at the Curragh last time out, over 1 mile and 2. Not sure if he wants to go up and trip, and he might be vulnerable tomorrow, carrying top weight off a mark of 105. Sinjari as well ran really well behind Headman, and the form be tested earlier as Headman is running in Hampton Court, so we can see how that form translates. Finished second in that race for William Haggis and James Doyle, who we both know are in good form. And 7 to 1 but makes at the moment. But my money is on Sir Ron Preistley tomorrow for Andrea Zaney and Mark Johnson. Both teamed up last year to win this race with Baghdad. Mark Johnson has a very good record in the race, and he had a winner today in the Queen Mary, so we know his form, his stable of form is pretty good at the moment. This horse won a 4-runner race at Haydock, but he bolted up in really good style, and I just think off a mark of 94 tomorrow, he could still be potentially well treated. He's not got bad draws well in the middle. I don't think you want to be drawn too wide, and for me, Sir Ron Preistley, I think he's a good each way bet. If you can still get the 7s out there, which there were available at the time of recording, I think that's a good each way bet, and that's going to be the final tip to round things off. So hopefully we can turn the corner tomorrow for day 3 of Royal Ascot. Also as well, let me know in the comments box below what you're backing tomorrow, what your fancies are. I'd like to know what you guys think and where your money's going, and that's all I got to say. So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel here at LuckyLoaders15 for more tips and Royal Ascot videos here over the next couple of days. Also as well, you can follow me on Twitter as well, the place to follow me on social media using my handle at LuckyLoaders15 for all links to my work and lots of other things going on like gossip and opinions, things like that. So go and follow me there if you haven't done so already. And that's all I got to say, so please game responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.